Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Wake Up with Jenny and Friends. I am Jenny, and I am joined by a very special guest and co host today, Mr. Philip Zhang. How are you?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Thank you so much for co hosting today. I'm so excited.
I'm excited too. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for being here. Philip from Las Vegas Phil. If you guys have not checked out Las Vegas Phil yet on Instagram and on TikTok too, right?
Yep.
Name on TikTok too. I honestly don't know what you're doing with your life because this man's content is insane, visually pleasing to the max. Like I would rather sit at home and watch his content than go out on a date. That's how good that's how good your content is. And so why don't we start by just explaining a little bit about introduce yourself a little bit, who you are, what you do, and we'll go from there. Because I have nothing but fabulous things to say about your content.
Oh, thank you. Well, first of all, extremely flattering to be on here, and those are really nice words that you said there. Um, I love that anyone who checks out the site checks out my page, and I just really appreciate all the feedback, all the kind words that people say. But yeah, I've lived in Las Vegas for about 15 years now. And I primarily am a social media foodie. I pretty much go out to dinner at least 5 nights a week. My wife doesn't even cook at all. We don't cook at all. So, and I basically try to cover as many restaurants as I can, many restaurants that I find interesting and want to feature on Instagram and TikTok. Along with that, I do as a full-time job, I'm a social media manager, and I actually manage a bunch of local restaurants, social media pages. So I take all the photos, I take all the videos, I coordinate all the influencers that come in, all the PR opportunities, things like that. But yeah, it beats the hell out of working,
No
and it's
doubt.
really fun. It's been a trip. Never thought I'd be able to quit my job. I quit my job about 2.5 years ago and went full time, and it's just been a blast.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so cool. And you really can tell like the passion that you have for so I always say too, like I'm a foodie as well. So that's why I love your content because not only are your posts great, but like because anybody can make a nice looking post, right? But your posts are like really visually pleasing. Like the lighting is always great, the angles are always great, the color quality and saturation is always great. And and so it draws you in to watch the videos and the stories. And I remember the first time I saw your video on TikTok. It was a friend actually sent one to me. It was I think it was a pizza one, and then the one that followed that was a seafood one.
Uh-huh.
And so I'm actually vegan. So I think I mentioned that to you before, right?
Oh
But
no, I didn't know that.
oh yeah, okay, yeah. So I'm vegan, but I I am a foodie and I love watching cooking shows and food content and all that. And then I saw this crab leg video that you did, and you dipped it in the butter. And there's a vegan version of that, so I can appreciate the value of the food there. And I watched this video, and a friend had sent it to me, and I watched this video, and he's like, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, it literally just fucked me in the face. I want to watch that 20 more times.
Thank you. Yeah, crab and lobster seem to resonate with the audience. I don't call myself this, but other people in Las Vegas call me the Lobster King, things like that.
Wow.
So yeah, but yeah, somehow, that's probably a big reason why I even have half of my followers is because of seafood for sure.
And because you've got a really good following on TikTok now, or on Instagram, on both actually. Let me just pull it up here. What do you have on? I think you're like in the thousands, right?
Yeah, I have
Hundreds of thousands.
209K on Instagram and
Yeah.
over 300K on TikTok.
Oh, that's incredible. How long
Yeah.
did it take to sort of like build up to that? Was it like fairly, because I know sometimes with TikTok, if you hit, you hit a video goes viral, then you like skyrocket, right? I mean, I think for me, it took me forever to get to 1,000. And then once I got to 1,000, I got to 5,000 really super quick. And then I was hovering at like 7,000 for a while. And then I had a couple of videos go viral. And then I was like, took off. And like, now I'm at 23,000. But it's just a luck. Like,
Awesome.
I think like it's, I always say the luck of the draw, right? Because I don't know if I really buy too much into the sort of the algorithm. I don't know. Are you a big algorithm person, or what's your thought on that?
So, I really dislike people who talk about the algorithm, because unless you're Morpheus from the Matrix or something like that, you don't know shit.
Yeah.
So people try to talk to me about shadow banning and all this stuff, and how 6 hashtags is money. Like, they don't work for Instagram, they don't work for TikTok. I don't buy in any of that. But what I do believe in is consistency, to put yourself in the best position to get lucky, to hit big. And so if you do that, if you keep chipping away, especially with TikTok, it's going to work out.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the big thing is consistency. And I noticed that with Instagram too. Like if I don't post on Instagram, there was a few months ago, I didn't post for 2 or 3 days, and then like I had a few followers drop, and I was like, oh, what's happening? No, post. It was
Yeah.
like a mad rush to post, right? So people kind of like get used to seeing, like, it's almost like your own personal TV show on social media, right? People get used to seeing you come up on their feed, right? Every
Yeah.
day.
In a way, it's like an entertainment channel, like YouTube would be, or something like that, just much shorter.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
What are you drinking this morning,
I
sir?
am drinking water. I just came back from a yoga class.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah, I'm just drinking some water just to rehydrate. So,
Very nice, very nice. So, yeah, I guess that's so. How do you? Because you say you go out to eat all the time, like 5 days a week. Are you conscious of like keeping a fairly fit lifestyle with eating out all the time? Like, what's the balance there for you?
yeah, I mean, I try to balance as much as I can. I mean, really, the the biggest issues with my lifestyle, my job is not to weigh, 1 jillion pounds,
Yeah.
and probably carpal tunnel syndrome of the thumb.
Of the thought.
So, um,
Great.
but yeah, I usually try to keep breakfast and lunch very light.
Mhm.
And then because I consider dinner basically a calorie car crash.
Right.
So, and even if I just go out for dinner, but sometimes the chef knows I'm there, they'll bring out more things, all that kind of stuff happens. So yeah, it's just a balance. A lot of foodies, especially in the beginning, will do like 3 or 4 shoots a day. But you can't go to 2, 3 dinners every night just for content.
Mm.
Otherwise,
You'd
you know,
explode.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a lot of sodium, a
Yeah.
lot of calories. And so, yeah, balance is the most important thing. I don't say I do the best job ever, but I try to be conscious of it for sure.
Yeah, so you mainly do dinners then, right? So you don't do, but I think I've seen you show a few lunch places though before, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I will do, there are days where I will do a lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
But I try to keep it to 1 a day, if I can.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go back a little bit about how you kind of got into this. Like, just being a foodie is just kind of something that you love, right? You just love, you have a passion for food. How did you turn that into sort of a business? Like, what was that route like? Like, and then being able to sort of quit your 9 to 5. Like, what?
Yeah.
Take me through the transition of that, and then also I want to ask you about being in Vegas too. But let's go through the transition.
Sure. So I think I was always a foodie. I just didn't know it. I was kind of obsessed with food. It really started when I moved from New York City to Japan, and I
Oh
lived there for two
wow!
years. And not only was Japan just amazing, I mean,
What
just
an
had amazing
experience
food
that
everywhere,
was.
but it made me realize there were a lot of things that I took for granted in the States, whether it was a giant ribeye or a bean and cheese burrito. and things like that. So when I came back to the States, I kind of went full on, kind of revisiting a lot of things I took for granted just for as far as for food. When I moved to Vegas, I worked a swing shift, meaning I finished work at 11 p.m. And so I was always looking for places to eat after 11 o'clock. Fortunately, Vegas has a lot of late night spots, but Yelp back in 2006, 2007 was where the best place to find information on that. So I started writing on Yelp, and that's how I initially built my following. I actually became kind of Yelp famous in Vegas, and that's where I started getting recognized at places and things like that. But fast forward to around 2016, 2017, there were a whole new slew of different types of foodies doing stuff on Instagram, which I thought was very interesting. And instead of focusing on the entire dinner experience, like I would write in a Yelp review, I could just focus on one dish that I loved instead. And so that's when I kind of made the transition from Yelp to Instagram. That's how I initially built my following from the Yelpers that were following me on Instagram.
And so when you say you were writing on Yelp, it was just like leaving reviews?
Yeah.
Or were you writing?
Yeah, I was just writing reviews.
Okay.
Just
wow.
Yeah. And yeah, I was just getting a lot of useful, funny, cool votes, things like that. A lot of feedback from owners, things like that. People want to invite me to restaurants after that for reviews, but you can't do that on Yelp.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it happened. And then once 2016, 2017, there were no real videos on Instagram. It was just pictures. And then once I built to maybe like 5K, 10K back then, which was a lot for a foodie, restaurants started coming up to me asking if I were possibly interested in social media management. And so I didn't think I was that prepared for it.
Yeah.
Looking back, I probably wasn't at all. But after seeing some of the ones that were established at the time, like Unlocked and a few others, seeing how they managed pages made me think I could do it too. And my first client was Amano. I don't know if you're familiar with Amano. They're now famous for Fat Babies, which is pasta stuffed into a giant hoagie, covered in cheese and sauce. And that was really proof of concept. I blew that up, fortunately. And then the opportunities just started rolling in once once people found out I was behind that account.
Oh, that's so awesome.
That's
amazing. And then, so it's like probably like within like a short period of time, you were able to do that, right?
Yeah. So my first client, Amano, started in April of 2018. They had 200 followers, and right now they're at 123K.
Oh, that's amazing.
And it's pretty crazy.
And
lines out the door, just amazing stuff. And I'm just so happy for them. It's a place in the middle of nowhere. They can't serve alcohol in an Italian restaurant because there's a church next door.
Okay.
And fortunately, they've been killing it. So, and since then, I have a really great roster of clients that I love working with. It's not really about money anymore. It's just the quality of the work and the relationship I have with the owners. And that's really what I seek now for clients. I do get approached a lot for paid posts and to work with other restaurants, but if the food is bad or the owner's crazy, I don't even bother. So.
Yeah, I love that, and I think that's so important too. We talked about that on another show about when we were talking about sponsorships and stuff, and I was saying how for me, like, it's not about the stuff or the sponsor per se. It's about that relationship, and if you can establish like a good foundation, a good relationship, and even a friendship out of that, like that's the most meaningful part, right? Because then you have a connection that lasts, tenfold, right?
Yeah.
And I've been able to meet some really, really great, phenomenal people through the show that I wouldn't have otherwise, which is one of the perks of social media. In all its faults and all its downsides, one of the great things is that you meet people that are really become great friends too, right?
Absolutely. It's just been an amazing journey so far. And I mean, especially in Vegas, life just honestly just keeps getting better. Like I know it's crazy to say, but yeah, I pinch myself all the time.
That's amazing. Take me back
Yeah.
to Japan. I'm so interested in that, like the culture and the food. Tell me how that was with the
Just an
food.
amazing place. So I lived in New York City for 10 years. I was actually in the music business.
Hmm.
But I was done with winters. I hated my job, and I just needed. I was just looking for a change. So I started looking around for other opportunities. I'd been to Japan once when I was a kid, and then I saw that they were looking for English teachers,
Hmm.
and so I thought, I mean, the only thing keeping me here is money, so
Yeah,
that's not a good enough
money
reason.
shmoney.
I know. Well, I was like, at that time, God, I was like 27, 28. What do I know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I sold all my shit and I moved to Japan. And that was it. So I threw myself into teaching, which was actually the most rewarding job I've ever had. I mean,
Mm.
people from all different kinds of walks of life, just trying to improve themselves, become better in English to improve their lives or to travel somewhere else, was inspiring. Um, and I did that for about 2 years. If my Japanese were better, maybe I would have stayed. But it was just an amazing experience overall, especially come from New York City to Japan. Just the culture,
Yeah.
the respect, the cleanliness of everything.
Hmm.
It's just one of the greatest places, if not the greatest place to visit. Have you ever been?
I've never been there. I've always wanted to go to Japan.
Yeah,
I've never been there. There's a few places on my life list that I would love to go to. Japan is one of them because I just the food too, like really like like sparks an interest for me too. It
yeah.
just seems so. I don't know if I'm right. You can tell me if I'm right or not, but it just seems like it's the food there is healthier. Is like
It can be for sure.
like not the fast food part because
Yeah,
I know there's a lot of fast food restaurants and places there, but like the real authentic Japanese authentic cooking, I feel like it's healthier. No.
totally. And then for I know, I had one roommate in Japan who was vegan from
Mm-hmm.
Australia, and it was a challenge for him then. But I think a lot of Japanese have made younger Japanese have made the transition to veganism. So
Mm.
I think you would be able to find a lot of great stuff. I mean, homemade tofu is amazing. I could eat that every day. So
It is really good. And I know a lot of people complain because they say it's like there's no taste to it, and that's correct. but but you can. It's what you put on it, right? Your spices and how you dress it and how you cook it, and that makes it a really great dish. And there's some really tasty stuff you can make with tofu, even desserts.
yeah, yeah. And then I actually ran the biggest vegan restaurant Instagram in Vegas for about a
Oh,
year. Yeah, right
amazing!
before lockdown, Veganation. I don't know if you ever been when you were
Oh
in
my
Vegas.
gosh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And
Wow,
that
that's so
that really
cool.
taught me a lot, just about plant-based,
Hmm.
and just interacting with the audience because they were so passionate about just whether it's health or animal cruelty or
Hmm.
just society in general. It has truly made me a lot more self-conscious about a lot of the choices I make. Um, so,
Yeah.
but I know that if a lot of these guys found out that I was running it, they'd probably be mortified. Um, but like Dave
Yeah.
Chappelle running the KKK or something. But
Oh,
no,
oh my god.
I
Have
it's
you seen
terrible.
his new special on
Oh
Netflix?
yeah, I did just see that, and
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. What do you?
Yeah.
Speaking of current
Well,
events,
yeah, current events. I did watch it, and I think Chappelle is brilliant in his craft. I do. I think some of the content is very controversial,
but did
um,
you laugh?
but I did laugh.
I did too.
I did laugh, and I think that it's a testament to comedy. I think that, and you know who else did it really well too was Joan Rivers, and she would always say the same thing whenever someone would approach her with a nasty comment or say she went too far, she would always say the same thing. She would say, it's a joke, it's comedy, this is what comedy is. And I don't think comedy seeks to put anyone at a true detriment. I think comedy in and of itself is to lighten the mood and break the ice. And I mean, to each their own. There's going to be some that liked it and some that didn't. Some that felt parts of it were touchy, and fair enough. But I also think that there's probably nobody else who could have done that other than Dave Chappelle. I think.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. In this day and age, but was Netflix the correct vehicle to approve this and put it on their, on their app?
On their yeah, that's
could
so
this
funny.
Could this have been just Dave Chappelle on YouTube, which he wouldn't have made any money like he does on Netflix? But should have this been greenlit in such a sensitive time? I don't know.
Yeah, it's such an interesting question because, and Amazon runs into this too with documentaries, and their stance is they're not going to put any documentaries on their platform, because it just gets them into a bit of a, for lack of a better term, a bit of a sticky wicket. And it's so interesting to see now, because there's so many platforms out there that, especially for comedians, where they can host their specials. I know, like, Chelsea Handler used to have a great relationship with Netflix, and probably still does, but she doesn't have her specials on there anymore.
Yeah.
Decided to go elsewhere, and so it's just, I don't know, with all with all the censorship and everything going on right now, it's just well, what do you think? Like, if you were to have a special or your own show, right? What would you? Because even if you chose YouTube, you'd still make money from YouTube. If you get monetized and that, you'd still make money from YouTube. Not nearly as much as you'd get from Netflix.
Sure.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's an avenue for more private platforms to come up and to offer sort of a membership fee. Like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, but I understand why the trans community is upset. I understand why Netflix employees walked out today. I think the first half hour was great. I was dying, but then once it went into the trans stuff, I just felt like he was really, I don't know, and the feminism stuff too was kind of weird. But
yeah, there were a few touchy points in there. I will agree with that. But I did enjoy hearing the story about his friend.
Yeah.
And the relationship that they built sort of behind the scenes, and the opportunity that he gave her, and her overcoming, the sort of the backlash that she got from not really pulling off a great show at first, right? And that story. And obviously there was if anybody hasn't seen it yet, I would encourage you to watch it just to have the opportunity to see it. But it was a tragic event in the end, right? She I won't spoil it for anybody who wants to watch it, but it was just it was a great story about their relationship, and I appreciated that part of it too.
Yeah. But I mean, anytime I do things like this or my podcast, I try to be on my tippy toes and not be on my best behavior.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, so we'll move away from that.
Okay.
Move away from the special. But tell me now about moving to Vegas, because that's like, I've been to Vegas and I loved it. I'm not a gambler, but I loved, I went to some of the shows and I did some shopping for shoes. Fabulous shoes, by the way. And all kinds of things you can get there, but I loved it. We went to different restaurants, and so tell me about living life in Vegas. Tell me about that.
It's really the best. Weather's amazing. I when I was living in Japan, I made the stone cold decision to never live in snow ever again in my life.
Amen.
And yeah, it just keeps getting better. I mean, from '06 to now, the number of restaurants, the number of options for entertainment. I mean, there's a professional hockey team and football team.
Yes,
Marijuana is legal. There's all these other attractions now, like Area 15. I mean, two of my best friends from New York just came to visit this last weekend, and I consider them gambling degenerates, and we barely gambled at all. I mean, it was outstanding. Between all the sites and restaurants and bars and all that stuff, we just had a blast. So the airport's the easiest airport to get in and out of ever. Yeah. And it's just a great place to live. I can't say any more. I think probably one of the biggest minuses is the education system. Fortunately, I don't have children. But I think that is a huge issue in Nevada. And the drivers are horrendous. I mean,
oh really?
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, the amount of fatalities, traffic accidents, people running the reds.
Really?
Oh, it is the worst. Yeah.
What do you?
I've never seen it as bad. Sorry?
What do you attribute that to? Do you think?
So I just recently found out that a lot kids in Vegas don't have to take driver's ed. They just to pass the test. But I don't know if that's really, maybe that's the cause. I don't know.
Just a written test they have to pass?
Yeah, it sounds like it. Or if they just, if their parents just tell them, oh, you need to stop at red here. Or I don't know what the deal is. But apparently that is one of the issues. But I don't know. People just think they're important and have some place to go and just say, fuck it, I'm going. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the traffic accident's been horrendous, DUIs, all that stuff. So you really have to be on your toes at all times. So,
I bet. Yeah. Well, because isn't the traffic in excuse me, in New York pretty bad too? Like, isn't it like?
So yeah, I mean it is, but I mean I didn't drive for 10 years. I mean I just used the subway or walked. Yeah. Yeah. But and parking your car is insane. I mean, in 04, I mean, to park your car was like $500 a month. I can't even imagine what it is now.
Oh my gosh.
That's crazy. In Brooklyn Heights, yeah, it was $500 a month.
Bananas.
Yeah.
Holy moly. And the weather's great in Vegas.
Yeah, but aside from that, I mean, it's just amazing. And there's still so much more stuff coming up. New resorts, new event centers, things like that. So yeah, I'm super excited for the future, and I can't think of a better place to be in the US than Las Vegas.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. So when I was in Vegas, I went to, sorry, I'm just kidding.
It's okay.
When I was in Vegas, I went to a few shows. I saw Chelsea Handler live, which was fabulous. She was so funny. And I really love burlesque. So I went to Burlesque X, I think it's called.
X Burlesque at the Flamingo.
Yes. And it was such a good show. And I love that because, so I was a dancer for 15 years.
Oh, cool.
Just like tap, jazz, ballet, all that kind of stuff. But I love the artistic nature of the burlesque shows. So I really wanted to see that. And so those are like, I don't know if you've ever been to one of those shows, but they're fabulous. So
yeah.
So fun there. And one of the restaurants we went down to while we were there was Emeril Lagasse's restaurant. And I'd love to know your take on that, or if you've ever reviewed that restaurant.
So Emeril Lagasse has several places. Are you talking about the New Orleans Fish House one at MGM?
It was,
or Delmonico?
I think it was called the Emerald, if I'm not mistaken.
Emeril's?
Yeah.
Emerald, yeah, at MGM Grand.
It was like, yeah. Well, this is maybe like 10 years ago now. It was like a green themed emerald kind of like, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the one. It was the one at MGM Grand, and that's a great spot. I haven't been there in probably 5 years, but I did like it a lot. The Cajun flavors, New Orleans style. I do like those flavors a lot. So, yeah, I mean, I have yeah, I like Emeril Lagasse. I think he's a good guy, and I loved his short-lived Amazon show. Um,
Yeah,
so I thought that was really cool too.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Did you ever get a chance to meet any top chefs or anything like that?
I've met a few. The most famous one I've met was Joel Robuchon,
Oh
and that
wow.
was by happenstance. I mean, it was our fourth wedding anniversary, and he just happened to be there and saying hello to each table, shaking hands. His English wasn't great, but yeah, it was really cool, and very memorable. Another memorable one is one Yelp event where David Chang was actually at dinner with all the Yelpers, just hanging out with us in the private dining room, shooting the shit and then bringing out like dishes that he just threw together on the fly. But yeah, there's been quite a few. And when I do shoot in the kitchen, a lot of the times it is the head chef or one of the famous chefs that I get to shoot the food with, and it's really cool.
That's amazing. That's so
Yeah.
exciting. Do you still get excited going to like do you get excited going to dinner every night? So for a lot of people, going out to dinner is like a treat, right? It's a once upon a time thing, right? And you doing it so much, do you still get excited about going out for dinner? Like do you repeat a lot of the places you go to, or do you try to try somewhere new every single time?
It's tough to be where my wife and I are rarely regulars at restaurants. A regular would be maybe 3 times a year.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But but yeah, I mean, I really feel like even without social media, even before all this, we were still going out a lot.
Oh, you were.
So I,
Okay.
I think we'd still be doing this anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's so amazing that you turn that passion into like an actual job, like a career.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah.
phenomenal.
Yeah. I can't
That's
believe it.
crazy. That's
But
amazing.
but as far as for excitement, um, I'm definitely not jaded.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love having these opportunities to get out, have all these comp meals and all this stuff, and where the only thing I get ticked off about is if the steak was carved incorrectly or something like that, which is so ridiculous. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great. I love going out all the time anyway. I've
Yeah.
always been this way. So
So, because there is so talk about that, the carving of the steak, because aren't you supposed to go like, isn't it you carve with the grain of the meat, or is there a particular style that you
I mean, you are supposed to carve against the grain.
against the grain? Okay.
Yeah,
See,
but
I'm a vegan, so I don't know this.
right. How long have you been vegan?
Well, for most of my life, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Even as a kid, I never really liked meat. So I've just been mostly vegetarian and vegan. I have had meat and fish in my life. Um, and there was a period of time where I tried to eat meat and it just didn't work out for me.
Okay.
And so I just went back, and it's just something that just I do just because it works for me. And obviously, I don't want to kill an animal, and
Yeah.
but it's I'm not out there with a PETA sign, but more power to them.
No, but I totally get it.
Yeah, I do my own thing, and that's how I
And
roll.
yeah, and that's awesome. But there are so many amazing vegan restaurants in Vegas now. I mean, you could literally do uh, a phenomenal 3-day vegan tour of
Ooh,
just restaurants. Next time you come out, I'll email you a list. I
sweet.
mean, unbelievable places now. And I used to see that on the Veganation IG, like someone would just post a photo dump of just all the vegan places they went to, and it features all different kinds of cuisine, from Mexican to Chinese, Japanese food. Now they have this one guy's doing phenomenal vegan sushi, like nigiri style,
Oh my gosh,
and
that is the best.
yeah, and there's actually a couple places great vegan Japanese spots now. So yeah, I think yeah, it'll be phenomenal next time you come in.
Oh, that sounds so good. So tell me, where was the most memorable place you've ever eaten? And
This is
it
tough.
doesn't have to be necessarily in Las Vegas. It can be like anywhere. Like one of the most memorable places.
So the most expensive lunch I ever had was in Tokyo, Japan. It was at Narisawa,
Hmm.
which is they do like a multi-course Japanese dinner or meal, And we landed in Tokyo and were fortunately able to squeeze in a reservation. It was maybe around 400 a person. And it was just an amazing culinary journey because he really tries to use all the seasonal ingredients, and the plating and everything was just super memorable, and just way more than just an eating experience. Just you think about the earth and nature and all these other elements while you're eating the dishes, and there's all these crazy explanations, and that was definitely one of them. But honestly, really the meals I remember most are actually not about the food, just the people I was with and the laughs that we had. So the ones that I can remember if I didn't drink too much. So a lot of it's like places like Peter Luger Steakhouse, or I could be at Mamoon's Falafel in New York City, eating a $3 falafel sandwich with just some of my best friends. So that's what I remember the most. Obviously, I'm not to discount a lot of the amazing meals I've had over my life, but those are the ones that come to mind first.
Yeah. Did you cook a lot growing up too? Like being a foodie?
No. My mom was an amazing cook,
Yeah.
which is the reason why I think I became a foodie in the first place. So my parents are from Taiwan. So I was eating a lot of Taiwanese Asian food at home. And then when I hung out with my friends, all my Irish and Italian friends, we would just go eat pizza or something like that, Italian food, where I go to their friend's house where they would have spaghetti and meatballs and a glass of milk for dinner, stuff like that. So I think that kind of shaped a lot of my tastes. But no, I'm a terrible cook, to be honest.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm horrendous.
I always say I don't cook, I order.
Yeah.
I can make a mini anything, really. Like I'm not a great cook, but I mean I can make one or two things, but yeah, I don't cook, I order.
Yeah. I think if I had to cook for someone else, I'd probably just grill something or bake something or slow cook something. I don't know. I think so. That's what I would do. But my Ayumi, my wife, is a phenomenal cook. She kind of complains she doesn't get to cook anymore sometimes. But we do, during lockdown, we had a lot of opportunities because a lot of places were reaching out to me, wanting to feature their whether it's their meat or something like that, or quality of fish. So that people could order it while they were in lockdown. So I was the one standing there with my phone and the light, filming her cook. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And it's so cool that people are like reaching out to you now to like feature their stuff, because it really shows a lot of the value that you bring, right? To people, and how that must feel so fulfilling.
Yeah. No, it is. It is really cool. I do say no to more things than yes to, just because I don't feel like it lines up with my brand, lines up with me. So I've been kind of snobbish about that, but the partnerships that I have done that have worked out have been phenomenal.
That's amazing. That's awesome. What's the best dining experience you've ever had?
So there's been so many, but oh man, I mean, probably the first time I went to Joe Robuchon when he was there.
Yeah.
Back then, this was before I was really like a known foodie, and it was probably the most expensive dinner I ever shelled out for at the time in 2010, 2011. So I had very high expectations, and they were all met and actually honestly exceeded. This is back when MGM Grand would actually have a gold limousine pick you up at your home.
What?
They would pick Las Vegas locals up at their home to drive them to Joe Robuchon. You'd walk through the amazing high roller mansion area into a secret entrance. And then he was fucking there as well. Like, that was crazy. So, and then, yeah, they drove you back home after. They soon ended that maybe a year after we did that. But that was probably, I mean, one of the best, maybe the best in Vegas.
What an experience.
Yeah. what else? Oh God, there's just so many. I mean, people ask me where I ate last week. I don't remember. I have to look at my calendar and see where I went. Um, but yeah, I mean, that's the one that sticks out. It was just a great experience, and for me at that time to fork over that much money for dinner was a big deal. I wasn't making that much back then.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was really cool.
What an experience. Oh my gosh. Have
Yeah,
you ever been to, so one place that I really loved, and again, for me, similar to you, it met every expectation. It's no longer around, but in Toronto, there was a restaurant called Soto Soto. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
I haven't.
Oh my gosh. It was fine Italian cuisine. But it was in a really trendy area in Toronto. All the celebrities would go there. And one year, my friend had gotten me reservations there for my birthday. So we both went there. And oh my gosh, was it ever phenomenal. Like from the service to it was like a whole, it was an experience. From the time you walked in, everything just ran so smoothly. And the wait staff was amazing. Like your water glass was never half empty. Like they were always on top of everything, and then the food was amazing too. So that was really really incredible. Soto
Yeah,
soto's
I love Italian food, and yeah, when it's done well, when it's done right, and especially when it's enhanced with the atmosphere and everything, it's amazing.
yeah, that's part of it too, right? Because well, okay, so maybe it's not now that I've just said that, but maybe it's not because I'm sure that you've been to some real like we call them here we call them greasy spoons or holes in the wall, right? But they have some really great food. So is atmosphere everything when you're reviewing a place?
No, no, I mean it definitely helps, but I don't care if it's a hole in the wall. If the food's great, then I don't really care. I'm not that particular about service and things like that, like some of my acquaintances are.
Yeah.
They're quite critical with that kind of stuff. But I mean, maybe because I grew up in Chinese restaurants where they didn't give a fuck. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't really care.
That should be your next special. Here's the food. We don't give a fuck about the service.
Right, right. Yeah. So, but it's interesting to me, like when I read Yelp reviews and they say the food's great, but the service was horrible. So 1 star. Um,
Yeah,
it
because
makes
you're
me
not
want
there
to
for
go
the
there.
service.
So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I guess it doesn't make sense, right? Because you're reviewing the food. Yeah. What's your favorite? One of your favorite things to eat? Like, do you?
So my number one choice is always sushi. I mean,
Yeah.
in Japan, I was literally eating sushi 3 days, 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, especially coming from New York City to Japan,
Hmm.
where all you can eat sushi doesn't really exist in New York City. It's quite expensive, quite pricey. And then I can go to a supermarket in Japan and get high quality stuff just sitting there in the in the sushi aisle. And then at 9 p.m. at night, they would actually put all the sushi on half price. So it would be me and all the other single men just kind of circling around the area like sharks, waiting for the guy with the stickers to start sticking them on at half price. And, I mean, that was just, yeah, it got heated.
God, I love a good sale.
You're like, I'm taking this family dinner. Yeah. So yeah, my roommates thought I was insane. I bring home like all these boxes. I'm like, you don't understand the value of, this Otoro is only $11 today. Um, so that's what I would do. My wife, who's Japanese, was stunned at the amount of sushi I was eating, saying it was actually the most sushi she's ever eaten in weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, because they look at it more. A lot of Japanese look at it as like a celebration type of thing. You eat sushi when you're celebrating something or a special
Okay.
occasion, more than a casual thing day to day.
Hmm.
But yeah, I was eating it day to day, and sushi is definitely my favorite thing. I could definitely eat it all the time.
I love that. I have to say, sushi is probably one of my favorites as well. And they do really good vegan sushi. You can get some really good stuff. And so what they use in place of the salmon is like really thinly sliced tomato, but the way they season it, oh my godula. It is
Yeah.
so good. It is so good. And you can get any, like, basically nowadays it's so different now. Like 20, 15, 20 years ago, to get something vegan, it was just like your options were so limited, right? Like you'd have like salad and pasta and like maybe a soy burger, or if you're
Right.
lucky, right? Or a soy
Yeah.
hot dog, and you're like, "Bleh." but but now you can get so many different things. Like basically anything you have in a meat product, you can get in a vegan version. And some of the vegan seafood is phenomenal. And they've really upped the game in the vegan cheese market. Let me tell you, like
Totally. Yes.
that's a hard thing for people when I talk about being vegan and people are interested in trying a vegan lifestyle. They always say the dairy is the hard part for them. They can get around the meat part, but then the dairy is the hard part for them. So, but they've really upped the game with the vegan meals. But I want to ask you one more question before we get into
Sure.
some of our little game things here. I'm so excited to have you on. You make me happy every day I see your posts.
Oh,
Literally.
so flattering. So flattering. Too kind.
So I love being a foodie, I love to try different bits and pieces of things. Is that your MO when you go out, or do you prefer to order like a full meal, or do you like to try different things? Like, do
So
you like
I'm
to order
always
like three or
under
four different things?
the idea that I will be back to the place, so I don't need to stress out about what to order. But that's never the case.
Yeah.
I'm too busy. But yeah, I mean, ideally, yes. If I could try to sample a little bit of this and that, that would be great. But I'm not opposed to the main entree as well. I mean, a lot of my posts are, have to do with having something to shoot. There's a lot of restaurants that I go to that, were great, but I don't have anything to shoot or anything to video. So I don't post it except for a story, just for pictures.
Yeah.
So I guess for content, I would prefer a one huge entree instead of a little bits of everything. But if I'm just, meeting some people just to go out and not to feature something, then yeah, I'd love to sample stuff as well. I think that's why I love Korean food so much, because of all the small banchan dishes that they offer, along with having a main entree, or any tapas place is fantastic as well.
Oh, tapas is great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that for that. That's awesome. Well, let's get into our 3-question draw. I'm very excited about this. This is
Okay.
a regular segment we have on the show where I'll ask you 3 questions and you ask me 3 questions. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
uh, you could go first.
Okay. All day breakfast, legit or should be outlawed?
Legit. I never eat breakfast during breakfast.
You never
So,
eat breakfast during breakfast.
no.
You eat breakfast at night.
So in my brain, I don't separate. Like, I'm fine having, I don't know, whatever, fried chicken for breakfast, or pizza, or anything that I've left over, sushi.
Right.
So usually when my go-to is like a breakfast burrito or something like that, that ends up being a 6 p.m. thing or a 2 a.m. thing.
Okay, cool. So you don't
Yeah.
define the food
By the time of day.
time of day or stuff.
Yeah, not at all. Or yeah. And neither, yeah, drinking either. So
Okay, all right. Here's to day drinking. You heard it here,
right.
folks.
Right.
There may be a little adult beverage in that tea there.
Okay, so 2 famous people you'd love to have dinner with and who's at the table?
Ooh,
Dead or alive?
Dead or alive? Okay.
Yeah, 2.
Elvis Presley and
They're having peanut butter.
peanut butter and bacon. Elvis Presley and the one that comes to my mind. I'm sure there's lots. I probably could choose a million people, but Anthony Bourdain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Because I feel like just the value of being in his presence, with his knowledge and his background and his experiences, that whole meal would be so fulfilling, like in terms of conversation, in terms of like, getting to know the history of things. Like he was so knowledgeable.
Totally.
Yeah, so I feel like that would be a massive experience too, more than just a meal.
Yeah, and there's a great chance he'll be very cordial with Elvis there. So
Yes.
I think that's a great call.
Did you ever meet him?
I didn't. There were several writers that I knew, I know that did meet him in the early 2010s when he was featuring Vegas on his show and things like that. Some of them rubbed him the wrong way and vice versa.
Yeah.
But I mean, he was just amazing presence, and when he was at the height of his popularity, it was just must watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
So good.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament too to human nature. Is you might not like someone as a person, but you can respect their game. You know what I mean? Like you can respect their knowledge and their career, what they do too. So, agree to disagree sometimes, right? Question number 2: best piece of advice you ever got?
Oof.
Ah.
Best piece of advice I ever got.
Mm-hmm. It's a tricky one, eh?
Wow, I'm sorry this is taking me so long.
No.
I should know this. I wasn't ready. So I guess it would be just from my dad. Always keep learning, always keep asking questions, and that's more important than talking about yourself, to be honest. And that's something I try to keep conscious of, be conscious of. That's how I become better at what I do and who I am is by picking other people's brains than talking about myself.
I love that. That's great advice.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm ready for your second question.
Okay. Marry, fuck, kill.
Oh God. Okay.
Sweet potato.
Okay.
Banana.
Okay.
Pineapple.
Marry, fuck, and kill. Okay. I'm gonna have to go. Oh gosh, I love them all. They're probably my 3 favorite things. Okay. I'm gonna
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah. You mash them all up and I'll drink it. I'm gonna marry the sweet potato. I'm gonna fuck the pineapple because just looks like fun.
Sure.
And I don't want to, but I'm gonna have to, by process of elimination, kill the banana.
Okay. Yeah, one has to be killed. So yeah, I totally respect that.
Yeah. The ship is sinking, and you have 5 seconds to grab either the safe with $100,000 in it, or the 3-pound black truffle. What do you grab?
I'm guaranteed to live no matter what. Or no, there's no guarantee. Because then I'm shoving the truffle straight in my mouth. I'm eating it while the ship's sinking. I'm not grabbing it. I'm just
guaranteed to live. Guaranteed to live.
Oh, I'm taking the money. I can buy the truffle later.
Screw the truffle.
But if it were 50-50, I don't know. Or less than that. Yeah, that would be a tough one. But yeah, I guess I take the money.
You take the money. Yeah, cool show.
Okay, and then number 3 for me, what was in your last Amazon delivery?
Oh, it was a eyeliner, which I'm currently wearing.
Very nice.
By Elf, deep black, fabulous. Thank you very much. On sale, $4.99.
So, as a vegan as well, does it, is it an all-encompassing lifestyle? Is that something you consider when making purchases?
Yeah, that's such a great question. That's so funny that you asked that, because the boys from Widowmaker asked me that too, and I hadn't stopped to think about it. If something is on the face of it, like prima facie, just animal product, then I'm like, no, I'm gonna not do that. But I don't like. I'm not gonna go buy a leather jacket. But like for example, this eyeliner, I didn't think to check if it was vegan or not, and I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. but it's a good point. It's a good point. If I see something that is vegan as opposed to non-vegan, I am more inclined to purchase that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I would
I'm
too.
not. Yeah, but I'm not. I don't necessarily look for that in products that I use every day. But that's an interesting point. It's an interesting point, and maybe I should be more conscious of that. So, thank you. Thanks for calling me out on air.
Anyways,
I'm just joking. If you've watched any of the episodes of this show, you know all we do is joke.
cool. Very cool.
I have one little thing that I wanted to do with you, where I give you some ingredients, and you tell me what meal you would make with that.
Okay.
So here are my ingredients: sun-dried tomatoes, pineapple, scallops, pecans, or do you say pecans? Pecans or pecans? I say
pecans. Pecans.
Ooh, pecans.
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess I would say pecans.
Pecans. Okay. And tofu. So sun-dried tomato, pineapple, scallops, pecans, and tofu.
What meal would I make?
What
Is
would
this
you make
all
with
on
it?
one plate?
Yeah. What would you make with that?
I guess I would just make the most fucked up scallop Waldorf salad ever. Yeah, I don't know what else to do. I might not cook the scallop depending on the quality. I just might sashimi the shit and throw it in there.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That's an interesting take.
Yeah, I don't know if I would pan-sear it. I'd have to look at them first. But yeah, I'm not a cook, man. I just I can't do it. But yeah, that's what I would do. And I can imagine my wife's face now being mortified at this answer.
Have you ever cooked for your wife?
I have, and it's before we were getting comped everywhere and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah,
You're still married, so it worked out.
Yeah, our hours were different, but yeah, it was a 50-50 whether it was gonna come out well. And if it didn't, I would always blame the recipe. It was the recipe and not me. All recipes can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And yeah, but yeah, no, I was terrible.
Well, you tried, and that's the thought count.
I did try.
Yeah.
I tried. Yeah, I only think about the failure dinners. We have one joke still running from 15 years ago where I don't know what happened. I cooked I tried to roast the beef and it was extremely tough at the end, very leatherish. And it's now called Phil's Tough Beef. It's a dish that will open at my restaurant called PTB. And that's what I call it. That's what she calls it.
I love it. So tell me the future of LasVegasFill. What is to come? What can we expect? Are you going to, are you going to have your own show? You should. You should.
So.
And you should put it on Phil TV.
Phil TV.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know, because every year I look back at the year before and there's a lot of stuff that I couldn't imagine I was doing before. I do have some loose plans, and goals would be, probably the most important goal right now is to blow up TikTok as much as possible. And then YouTube as well. And then my podcast recently just ended because the network folded because they weren't making any money.
Oh.
So I need to figure out whether I want to keep doing that and at what kind of format. I think I need to have a co-host or work in a team because it was too much work. You know this. Yeah. To do this weekly. So those are the things I want to do. But I think if I can just focus on the things that I can control, which is putting out the best content possible, putting out interesting content, then everything else, the money, business opportunities, everything will be just a byproduct of that. So that's what my ongoing focus has always been and will continue to be.
I love that. I love that. Have you explored Spotify at all
Spotify
for your podcast?
I mean, I was on Spotify. I mean, I was on all that stuff, but the one where I forgot, it starts with an A, right?
Oh, Anchor?
Anchor, yeah. Is that what you're talking about, or?
Yeah, that's what I use, Anchor.
Yeah.
And then it just filters it out to a bunch of different, it's on Spotify and we got picked up by iHeartRadio and that. So, but yeah, those are pretty.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of, I just put out my last episode maybe a little less than a week ago. So I've just been enjoying the free time that I'm not doing it. Because at the end, I was kind of reaching for topics and some of the guests who weren't unavailable to be on the show. But I don't know if food and social media is going to really, make waves. It was a very niche show that the people who did listen to it learned a lot. And I know a lot of businesses listen to it, but I'm not going to get 100K downloads on an episode doing that. So I was kind of honestly disappointed at the listenership, considering my following, but after talking with some of the other podcasters, I know it's impossible to, Instagram and TikTok aren't really the best ways to convert followers to listeners.
Yeah.
Seems like Twitter is the way to go.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, I just need to
Twitter's
step back and kind of reassess.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Twitter's another monster altogether.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. But I think goals would be, more YouTube and just getting better at TikTok and maybe perhaps doing some non-food posts on TikTok, some comedy stuff, maybe some other things. So we'll see.
Yeah, you are right about like the work that goes into trying to think about, podcast topics and stuff like that, because it is a lot of work. I know, so I'm a therapist full time, like in the day I run my own clinic and I have a podcast for that as well, but I find it really difficult to think of topics to talk about on that podcast. So I end up posting more and then doing less podcasts. But for this show, I do a ton of audio stuff and I do a lot of posting as well too. But you're right, it's hard to think of like topics, especially if you're doing a show like a podcast by yourself too with no guests. It's hard to sit there and talk for half an hour on a podcast and think okay, what would be interesting, right?
Absolutely. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Had it not been for the podcast, I would definitely not have 300K followers on TikTok because I was never comfortable with listening to myself. But when doing something like this, you're constantly having to listen to yourself because you have to edit all this shit anyway. So that has really helped me personally come out of my shell and do a lot of different things with social media. So I'm super grateful for that. And I learned a ton, with all the guests that I had because I had to study their work, and it made me better at social media. Absolutely.
So what's something you're looking forward to in the next week? Where's the next
next week? Okay. So we're going to LA
nice.
next week. I'm a huge New England Patriots fan because I grew up in Boston. So we're going to go that and then do Halloween in LA. So pretty excited about that. Aside from that, Saturday we're going to Seltzerland. It sounds like the whitest event ever. It's basically 100 different vendors of hard seltzer.
Oh wow!
Yeah, on a golf course, and I'm excited. I think it'll be one of the best shit shows of the year. And I can't wait to document it on stories.
I can't wait to see those pictures.
Yeah. I'm like, who thought of this? So it's going to be funny.
I am going to be living for those videos. I can't wait. That's going to be epic.
Yeah. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. What else is going on in the next week? Those are probably the biggest things. Yeah.
And I have to ask you, because I forgot to ask this earlier, but fast food, now having so much um, epic cuisine,
Hmm.
what is your take on the fast food? And is there a particular fast food that you love? Because I know people are going to ask me about the fast food, like the chain
So
fast food.
I haven't eaten a Big Macs in since 1994. I remember I was in college, I ate it, and I felt like trash after. I said, I'm never doing this again. I've not tried any of the hot chicken sandwiches.
No.
Um, I've said I actually agreed to a Del Taco paid post, and then once I had the food, it was terrible. I gave them the money back, and I told them I wasn't going to do it. I've said no to McDonald's for posts. I don't know. I just don't fuck with the fast food chains at all. I've never been to Chick-fil-A. I don't know.
So
I
no go
mean,
on the fast food.
if I'm doing fast food, it's probably a local mom and pop taco place.
Mm.
I guess that's fast food.
Hard tacos
But
or soft tacos?
ooh. Well, what's the fill? So a standard taco, like a chicken taco or something, or
Sure, like a standard taco, like the ground beef and cheese, whatever, or chicken taco, whatever. Hard shell or soft shell?
hard shell?
Hard shell.
Yeah.
Ooh, I was not
Yeah.
expecting
I
that.
know. I know. I wasn't expecting that either, but I guess that's the truth. Yeah.
Oh man, I love it. Well,
But I don't. Yeah, I can't remember last time I had a fast food burger. I almost say no to all the burger opportunities because it's just not something I actively seek out to eat on my own.
hmm.
So yeah, I guess I don't do it very often at all.
Man. Well, I have like 1,000 more things that I want to ask you, but I know your time is really
It's
valuable.
okay.
And I,
I mean, if you have a few more, I'm fine. Totally.
what,
This is fun.
well, one of the big restaurants down here that's like super chic is Ruth's Chris.
Yeah.
You have that. What I'd love to know your thoughts on that because everyone, I've obviously never been there because I don't eat the meat, but everyone raves about it. Is it that good?
Yes, Ruth's Chris. So for a chain steakhouse, I think what I love about Ruth's Chris is no matter which location you go to, whether it's Taipei, Vegas, Boston, there is a certain consistency, a certain standard, and I know what I'm getting into. And so that's why it's great. When we first moved here, when I worked a swing shift, there was a Ruth's Chris by the Palms Hotel that was open until 3 a.m. nightly. So yeah, my wife and I would have 2 fillets with no butter and maybe split a salad and some bread, and that was dinner. So I definitely have a fondness for Ruth's Chris, and I think it's well deserving of to be one of the upper tier steak chains in the world.
And do you look for consistency when you go back to a place? You look is that super important to you?
I think, well, no, there's just an expectation that if I had a great time before, I'm going to have one again. Um, so I do get a lot of pressure when friends come into town, they consider me the food expert, or if we're the group of 10 people, they want me to order the whole fucking dinner without consulting them. So I've gotten used to it now, but it was daunting a few years ago. But yeah, I think, I always base it on experiences and things like that. But if I'm in the middle of nowhere and I need a quick place to go, then yeah, Ruth's Chris would be a great, upscale chain restaurant dinner.
Butter or margarine?
Butter.
Margarine or olive oil?
Olive oil.
Oh.
You have a margarine in salad. Oh, maybe some people do.
What's your biggest flex?
My biggest flex? I don't know. I don't try to be like that.
What's one thing
I guess the number of followers I have, I don't know.
The followers, your followers.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's what people bring up usually at the beginning if we've just met.
Yeah.
And if they know me through social media. But you know, there's always somebody with more followers and all that kind of stuff. So I try to keep it all in check.
Yeah. And just stay humble about it, which you are, which I love.
Yeah. Yeah. I try to. I don't, you know, I know, especially in Vegas, when all these influencers come from all over the world to come here, you know, they just show up at the hostess table showing their TikTok, which has like 500,000 followers or 1 million followers, and think that they're just going to get a free meal right on the spot, things like that. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah, how does
Um,
that work? How does that work for you? I know we can't talk turkey and stuff like that, but like, how does that go? How does that work out for you when you go to different restaurants? Do people are people sort of like wanting to do that for you to get a review,
yeah,
or like how?
sure. So I get DMs and emails all the time from whether it's the directly from the restaurant or the PR company or a marketing firm, and say, hey, we'd love for you to come in and feature the restaurant. Um, so
Mhm.
and then yeah, it's just a matter of schedule and whether I'm interested or not. I mean, a lot of times, a lot of the influencers, if they're not interested in the restaurant, will just leave the DM as seen and not answer. But I try to decline and give them a reason why I'm not interested.
Yeah,
Um, so, but yeah, that's usually how it works. But no, I'm totally fine with paying as well. I don't, you
yeah,
know, like I said, I'd still be doing this without social media. So an extravagant, expensive dinner is definitely not beyond me at all.
yeah. And I love that. I love that you put that in your videos too, because a lot of the times when you show a place in your videos and you show the meal, you'll show the meal, and then sometimes you'll show a little bit about how it's prepared, and then you'll also see like the price of it too, which is really good because if you're in that area and you want to go out, all you have to do is like pull up a Las Vegas Fill and 3 or 4 of your videos and see where you want to go to eat that night.
Right, right. Yeah, and that flatters me when people plan their whole vacation. I mean, most of my followers are not in Vegas. I
Yeah,
think a lot of them are planning their trips, things like that. So I do get a lot of DMs about that. I'm basically like, you know, my last job, I was a concierge,
hmm,
uh, you know, before I started doing this full time. So I had to know everything anyway.
yeah.
But fortunately, I did all that stuff. So it was really cool. But where were we going? I totally forgot.
Oh
um,
no.
but
Oh,
yeah,
when you went to if they comp you food and stuff like when you go, but you
yeah.
it was like
So
yeah.
yeah, but I don't expect,
Hmm.
you know, I don't expect special treatment all the time. I don't have
Yeah,
to have that to have a good time or a good meal.
yeah,
Um, Unlike a lot of people, and a lot of people will still post food um, if the content looks good,
hmm,
but they secretly didn't like the meal. Um, you know, there was 2 restaurants recently where I had what I considered a subpar experience, and I told them, hey, you know, thanks for dinner, but I'm not posting this because it was bullshit.
oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
really, yeah.
yeah, because you know, I think
I think that's
people
important
trust
to
in my
continue.
recommendations, so I want to be, you know, recommend what I honestly how I honestly felt and what I thought was good.
Yeah, I think that's important to be authentic. And I think that that's part of your humility is that you do turn things down and you don't just take it for like, the business aspect of it. And then you don't just post something because it might bring some followers in or some cash in. You're going to be honest about it because people are trusting you. Like, if you say
Yeah,
something's good, people are going to go, okay, this is the shit. I got to go there. It's no point in posting something that's crap, right?
yeah, yeah. But then, you know, I'm having this conversation with my wife. I'm like, you know, this is more than our mortgage for the month, but this is terrible. Like, am I being too silly about this? Like, am I being too much of a snob? So, and we have that conversation every once in a while. So, and yeah, I recently did a post where it was a picture of me just saying I use marijuana, which I do. So it wasn't that big a deal, but it was a very different style of post.
Hmm.
Um, they did pay a lot, so that's why I did it. But
Yeah.
um, you know, I got a call from mom after, wondering what the
Yeah.
fuck that was.
You're like, listen, mom, see the way my bank account's set up. I
I
got a
know.
checkings and a savings.
Right, right. She's like, oh, okay, I get it, I guess. So
What is so okay, so you had to try so some friends of mine, Widowmaker Supply, I'll send you their link when we're done here. But they make their own hot sauce. How are you with hot sauces? Do you love hot sauces?
I I do love spicy.
Spicy.
But I don't think I could do like a hot wings challenge like
No, we just did one of
on the
those, a
feast.
hot ones episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You couldn't do it? You couldn't do a hot ones?
Like I've had the hottest, I had the shut the cluck up at Hattie B's, which is the hottest chicken. And I couldn't think for 20 minutes. I was just
Oh
a
my
mess.
god.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I think I would just like really good fried chicken instead of like a kill me kind of spice. But
Yeah.
like Korean food, when I order sundabu, I get the hottest level.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm down with it, I guess. I love the numbing spice of Chinese food stuff,
Yeah.
but it's not something I actively seek out.
I can't eat hot stuff all the time because the spice makes me angry.
Yeah.
Just like a few days later, like if I'm doing hot sauce like every single day, like the following week I'll be like, like trying to figure out why I'm so touchy.
Right.
Oh, it's the hot sauce. What is one thing that you still have left to do? I'm sure you have a laundry list of things that you want to do still, but what is one thing that's on the top of your list that you haven't done yet?
The one thing on the top of my list that I haven't done yet, live in a different city for a month. I've always wanted to do something like that, like live in Paris. And fortunately, this job would allow me to do something like that. I think I can get away with that for sure. But I don't know. I haven't really, I'm not sure, but I think all my goals, I think, are just beyond food. It's more just quality of life and things like that. I mean, I could be busier. I could do more things. There's, especially running your own business, there's always something more you can do.
Yep.
But you just need to, when you're dead, you're not going to think about all the time you spent behind the desk or on your phone. It's all about the life experience. So I think just doing more of that. And now that hopefully we can travel more, we're going to do more of that too.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, about the traveling. Like, what are some of your hobbies outside of the food genre?
Hobbies. I don't know. Korean dramas,
Yeah.
Peloton, yoga.
Ooh,
I think
Peloton,
those are.
how's that?
Yeah, I love it.
Do you love the
I should have done
Peloton?
it earlier. I should have done it. I should have gotten it during lockdown, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's all just battle of the bulge type stuff for me.
I bought a treadmill instead. I wish I had bought the Peloton.
Yeah. I mean, treadmill's great too.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
love the yoga too. You like the
yeah.
yoga?
Yeah. And that's more just for my mental state and things like that. So those are kind of the things, just be healthier, things like that. Be more mindful of other things and not get a big head about all this other stuff and talking to you and doing all these other things. So yeah.
Well, I am super, 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 super grateful that you could join me today. And rumor has it, sir, you have a tip of the day.
Of what?
You have a tip of the day.
I have a tip of the day.
Yes.
My tip of the day, if it doesn't matter, I say treat people like you have zero followers, especially in social media. The blue check mark doesn't automatically make someone a good person. If they have 2 million followers, it doesn't mean you need to hang out with them. I think you need to really dig a little deeper into the personal relationships and things like that. That's way more important and way more meaningful in the long run. But yeah, I know it's getting harder and it's easier to blow up on TikTok. So people get a big head pretty quickly. But I think treating people like you have zero followers, like you're a nobody is probably the most important thing.
I
to
agree.
me.
I agree.
Yeah.
A testament again to your humility and the quality of character that you uphold every single day. I love watching your content. I adore you. I adore your posts. I am so honored that you came onto the show today and helped me co-host today's episode. Thank you so so much.
Absolutely.
Really,
This was really fun.
it
So
was
thank
really fun.
you.
I had a great time, and I'm just like, I feel like a little kid in the candy store. I'm so
Oh,
excited. I told my friend today, I was like, Phil's coming on the show! I'm so excited. Tell people where they can find you, reach you, get a hold of you, watch you, listen to you. Just promote the heck out of yourself.
sure. It's all at LasVegasFill, FILL, because PHIL was taken. So LasVegasFill, FILL on Instagram and TikTok. I do have a YouTube channel as well, but it's I'm still trying to figure out what's going to hit on that. So, but I have converted subs from TikTok. That seems to be the biggest thing. But yeah, just follow me on those channels if you like food. Some would advise not to look at my channel after midnight because you might get hungry. This is what I've heard. I get DMs like at 2 a.m. Fuck you. I love your page. Go fuck yourself. So, but yeah, that's it. And if you're coming to Vegas, I mean, feel free to DM me. I'm always happy to help. I answer questions about all that kind of stuff. I do that all the time.
Amazing, amazing. Again, thank you so much, Phil. I really appreciate you having me on the show, and you made my day. Thank you so, so much.
Oh, that means a lot. I mean, so kind, so flattering. Okay.
Have an amazing week, and we'll talk soon.
For sure. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.